All right, welcome everybody. I am Ed Cruz, and this is the last lesson. This episode today is episode 28. This is called the problem solver, right? I think maybe in past videos, who knows? I've done so many videos over the years on Wing Chun. I basically simplified the thing to the point where we're kind of, this topic is going to call the problem solver, is that people have a choice. You either bitch or do, right? Bitch or do. And if you bitch, you're really not doing anything. Just kind of talking to yourself, and nothing really ever gets accomplished from that. And if you do, then you can actually figure out and try to solve some issue that may come about. So I want to give you a little bit another case of history as far as being a bitcher or doer. Okay, and like I said, life is about choices, and it's literally your choice. I don't really care if you bitch. If you want to bitch, go ahead and bitch. That's your life. But back in 2000, right? I made a decision, right, to go see Sifu in Arizona, and I saw him before prior when he comes to come to Chicago and do seminars. But I made a decision to finally see one of his annual instructor seminars back in 2000. So I went with my buddies at the time, Ken, Larry, Ed. All four of us went to go see him and train with him at that time. And you know, I left that seminar so. I guess inspired, moved, and realizing that what needed to be done, right? And many different things came about it. So some issues that came about was, you know, at that time I wanted to learn Wing Chun really badly, but I had no intention of teaching at all. So one of the main things that Sifu says, if you really want to learn Wing Chun, you really want to get this going and get the skill and knowledge and so forth, you have to teach. And it's funny because when you really want something, right, you just kind of go for it, right? You kind of like, okay, I want that, I'm going to go for it. And you don't really think I have to do this, this, and this. It's just your laser focus on the goal is so important to you that you'll figure a way out. So as an individual, you know, bitch or do. And when you do, you become a problem solver, and you can't be in the realm of, I tried and I give up. No, sometimes, you know, still getting to the target requires multiple steps, many setbacks. But if you really want that, you'll figure a way to solve it instead of being a bitcher. So in that instance, at that time, you know, I was just training with my other school, and I would just take that knowledge here, and then I would be like, okay, my teacher was cool enough that he would say, okay, you want to teach, and he would let me share the knowledge of what Sifu taught me, and I would use that opportunity to teach and improve my skill. So I didn't have a school at the time, and I was using that as a facility to help me actually improve my skill and learn. And then so I was like, I need to teach more, I need to venture out more. And you know, the idea of actually opening up a school didn't really ring in my head. So first step was like, I taught at Northwestern University, self-defense course there with Ken and Ed. And then we moved on to DePaul. And then from there, we actually moved on to doing stuff like at the Park District. Eventually, we started teaching out of our garage, right? So notice, you know, it might be like, oh, how are you going to start a school? You don't have a school at all. You found a way. We found a way, right? We didn't have to put any money down. It was a little price to pay to run it there at the universities and also at the park districts. But we found a way to teach on a very regular basis for many years. I can remember going there every time to teach as often as I could, and then eventually ended up teaching in our garage in our home. And the interest of actually opening up my own school never really came about, because this was more than satisfying, you know, because of my knowledge and skill. People came. I had tons of students, and over the years, and I was able to deal with that and actually solve that issue. Another issue that we had after leaving the seminar back in 2000 was, well, how am I going to train? How am I going to get better? You know, because, you know, it's like, I remember leaving, I was like, damn, I really wish I could train with Sifu on a more regular basis, right? Be in the school, but, you know, at the time, I think I just got married at the time, started to have a family and stuff like that. Money's always tight. And then from that point on, I probably could see him once or twice a year. And it's like, oh, well, how are you gonna learn from that? How are you gonna be able to improve from that? In the long run, the desire to be, oh, I want to move over there, was actually the most beneficial thing that I didn't actually move over there, because by not being dependent on Sifu, as far as always being there to answer it, I had to put the weight and pressure on me to constantly train, constantly ask questions, and constantly nagging for answers. So I really had to know my stuff inside out, as opposed to, if I was there, I'd be like, well, you can always ask Sifu, you'd be dependent. So it's kind of like, you live at home, everything seems okay because you got the shelter of your parents taking care of you. You move out on your own, you're on your own. And there's really no one to fall back on. So the reality is, I was like, it really forced me to actually study, train, and know the art really inside and out, faster, harder than anyone else, because I didn't have the luxury of doing that. And then in time, make good choices and stuff like that, then I would end up seeing Sifu more. Have had tons of privates with him later on, like several years later, 10 years in 2010, I started just loading up on just seeing him constantly because I had the opportunity to do that. And then, the whole point of the story is basically you bitch or do. And life is about being a problem solver. I always told my kids this is like, you don't go to school to memorize how many capitals there are what capitals there are in the 50 states, or what the highest mountain is, or whatever. I really think, sign of intelligence is not, if you ask me, I was like, 50 states? I think there's 50 states. To me, there's only California, right? Hawaii, Alaska, New York, Florida, Texas, and Chicago. That's it. The other ones, I don't really give a shit, right? But that kind of knowledge of memorizing stuff, I don't think is that important. Okay, a lot of people maybe brag, oh, I got great grades. I don't really fucking care, because you can compare grades later on and see the end results. And basically, when you become a problem solver, you end up figuring out how to make things happen instead of being bitching. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. Well, figure out how to make it better. I have no money. Well, there's more than who would have thought 20 years later you could drive your car and get paid doing like Uber or Uber Eats and stuff like that. There's other ways to figure things out. So the bottom line is, if there's something that you're finding that you're struggling with, you either bitch or do. So make that choice, and hopefully from Wing Chun you become a problem solver. Okay.